I have never seen a tailing trout in my life.
Well, I hope we get to. There's one.
There's one right.
Yeah,
right,
yeah. Just keep your eye on that.
They look like bonefish to me.
In Texas, the redfish is king, although there are a lot of dedicated trout fishermen and guides that would beg to differ.
This is a fairly well-known place to sight fish to sea trout, and we have some, world record size sea trout. Not that that's important.
Chris, my guest, he's up first.
Further right. See the
And in no time at all, he has sight fished and stuck a very nice trout.
Strip. You got him.
Got him. No!
As he lands this trout, I wonder, does he really realize what a unique day he's having? Sight fishing successfully to baby tarpon and speckled trout in the same morning. Pretty rare.
Texas folks are very accommodating to visitors.
It's pretty clear that Chris has a deep passion for fly fishing. Writing about it seems to come natural to him.
Big black spots.
As we get some photos of his first trout, he's all smiles.
Whole river.
Go.
No, we're.
I think we're with the right guy.
I think we are.
There'll be about 3 fish there. They're kind of spread out a little. Coming at you now. Coming straight at you. Good shot. Good shot. Their sweet spot is the size of a golf ball, but
Okay.
you can get her to eat. Still coming at you. She ate it. All right.
Spotted weakfish, speckled sea trout, speckled trout, or simply specks as they're called on the Texas coast, are a very popular and beautiful game fish.
Did you hear that smack?
Yeah.
That was pretty obvious. Cool, man.
And 6 inches of water.
And you knew you were going to have to put me in a pod.
It's really easy to see where they got the name
I'll take all
trout.
the help I can get.
The spotting pattern and color is very similar to a brown trout.
Ready?
Their body style is reminiscent of a rainbow trout.
These speckled wonders range from Massachusetts to the Yucatan. Interestingly enough, the females outgrow the males, averaging 25 inches, while the males swim a tad shorter at 19.
That is well worth taking a detour.
This one?
1 foot short. Perfect. That's a little too far beyond. Keep stripping, keep stripping. Try him again. You need perfect 5 times on that fish, and she might eat it the 5th time.
Oh, I can't believe it. She's not spooked.
It just keeps piling up. Let's go catch one out of that pod, and then we'll harass another big one in a minute. Sea trout the size that we're catching spend most of their time in this bay system in 3 to 5 or 6 feet of water.
We have the opportunity to sight fish for specks in Port O'Connor on occasion, but nothing like this. If I hadn't seen it with my own eyes, I would have a hard time believing it. Schools of tailing trout. Every school was feeding over a stingray. 3 to 8 trout in each school. This is redfish behavior, not trout. Redfish feeding over stingrays is pretty common, but not trout. And they were tailing, again common with redfish, but not trout. Little did I know, again, something new every day.
Sorry, dude.
I'm just gonna tell it like it is here. Eric was putting us on shot after shot, and I was finding every way in the world to blow each and every one. Stepping on my line, continuous tangles, bad cast, and unless they tailed, I was having a hard time seeing them. Chris, on the other hand, he was on top of his game.
Set to it, right rod. There you go. You got it. Swimming real slow. Hang on.
Man, I feel like a first grader.
Oh, careful. That went right over his back.
Chris, he wasn't done with the trout yet. The wind had picked up, so we opted for waiting, giving Eric a break on the pole.
Right here.
He'll occasionally.
I don't know if
I
that's
spot a
lady.
fish ahead of me, but before I can ID it, the fish moves closer to Chris. And in one cast,
That's good.
Chris, he's hooked up again.
Nice trout.
Yeah!
Set the hook.
Was that what I saw?
Okay, careful.
That's what you saw.
Not a redfish, just the biggest, prettiest trout of the whole trip.
What's with these Oregon guys? They show up, they can cast backhand 70 feet, they can catch a trout that's already spooked off of the local guy. That's a pretty
Wow. What a day for my new friend Chris.
Out of the boat, singles and pairs. And now, for the last fish of the trip, to round it all out, we got out of the boat and did something completely different and wade fished ourselves into another trout, man.
Yeah.
All right.
After a couple of cold drinks to celebrate the day, Chris shows us another one of his talents, the guitar.
Crickets for bays. You could fish anytime, morning, noon, dusk, and night.
What in the world is that? Just a bigger mackerel?
Trout.
Big old trout. Get my net, man, get my net.
I catch a fair number of trout blind casting at the jetties, but most of them aren't nearly as big around as this one is. This was really an unusually fat trout. Not the fish we're after, but I'll take a nice trout on the fly rod anytime.
Man, it's full of surprises out here. Wow.
That is a monster.
That right there is the largest speckled trout of my life on a fly rod. Look at that beauty. Look at that.
That thing is a monster.
That is so cool. You know what? That's just such a special fish. I can't keep it.
Sounds good.
I really can't. There she goes. Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, baby. Give me a little on that. That was pretty cool.
Fishing, it's in my family's blood. Both of my grandfathers took me and my brothers fishing every chance they had. My grandfather, Herschel Jennings, even became a fishing guide after retiring from the East Texas oil fields. Watching my niece Gentry and nephew Jake, it's obvious that they will continue the tradition. They both fish with their dad every chance they get.
Oh. You want to keep this for shark bait?
I feel a wave of relief as we throttle up into the darkness of Matagorda Bay.
The voyage begins.
That's it.
A series of outboard motor problems had left us without a fishing boat or a camera boat as late as 8 o'clock last night. My friend and fellow captain Matt Medford had come to the rescue. I'm not the only one relieved. Gentry and Jake, they've been looking forward to this trip all summer. They had the pleasure of fishing with Matt last year and had such a great time they didn't even balk at Matt's new meeting time, 4:30 a.m. After guiding fly fishermen for the last 12 days, I was looking forward to a day off and a little relaxation with the kids.
Oh my goodness.
Let him run.
Yeah, let them run, baby. Let them run. Let them get tired.
It's kind of fun fishing the ocean. You never know what you're going to get, do you? Come on in. Come on in. Brother and sister with a big, giant forel.